finally joining me for Espresso 4.0. I've been trying to hunt you down, but you just won't be, caught. I'm glad that I can finally have a coffee with my CEO.
Well, I think, I'm not an easy guy to catch, but you finally managed, so I'm very happy to take the time.
Excellent. I mean, I have some questions that I wanted to go over, but before we get into that, why don't you, I mean, I know you well. I know you well, having worked in Wizata for some time now, but why don't you tell some of the viewers who is Philippe Maes?
Okay, so I'm CEO and one of the co-founders of Wizata. This is not my first company, so I'm kind of an entrepreneur, and my background is business. It's not at all IT or industry, and I've been running the company as CEO for a year, and we founded the company I think 7 years ago.
Very well, thank you. Well, let's jump right into it. I know you're short on time. So you are a CEO, right? I want to get your perspective on things. As a CEO, you look at a company, you look at the organization, and you always try to do more with less. You want to try to be as efficient as possible and optimize the processes, if you will. We, as Wizata, we are heavily involved in, say, the steel industry. One of the things, generally in the heavy industry, what permeates in all of the manufacturers is that they are kind of under pressure to be always as efficient as possible, particularly with the current situation in the world, particularly with the environmental goals. And there are a plethora of new innovation and solutions that they can apply with new assets, outfitting old assets, augmenting them, and so forth. But for those kinds of solutions, they have to dig really deep into their pockets. So one of the things that we in Wizata do, and maybe you could shine a light from the perspective of CEO, is what are the benefits, what are the things that they can do with the data they have available already in their existing assets, and why perhaps that should be something they explore as opposed to new assets and equipment.
Yeah, what's amazing in process manufacturing and more specifically in the steel industry is that these companies are actually really sitting on gold mines that they are not exploiting, because naturally they've been collecting data because they've been running their machinery, but they've been doing very simple things with this data. So they've been doing like condition monitoring, making sure that it doesn't overheat, runs too fast, runs too slow, whatever. It's very basic stuff, but they have the data and they've been collecting them in historians and databases. And now we've reached a point where technology will allow them to actually harvest a lot of value from that data in order to optimize their production processes. Because for these guys, the production process is the holy grail. It's also their IP, okay? So it's their intellectual property, and they want to increase performance, increase yield, reduce defect rates, improve quality, basically, as you said, do more with the same. And now they have the opportunity to do that through data and through AI. So it's much better to use already what you have. You've bought a production line, you bought a blast furnace, you have a life cycle of 40 years. You're not suddenly going to change all your equipment. Okay, what you have is you have a new tool and something new to provide value to your production process.
Something you just said really turned on the light bulb in my head. But what you mentioned is their IP, right? So one of the things that's pretty common in the entire industry is that, let's take steel again, is that they have equipment. So a lot of times they have the same exact equipment, right? So where they differ, in fact, is how their operators, how efficient their operation is on the same equipment. And an added value is the AI-powered solutions that can be customized. And that's going to be the difference. That IP you mentioned is going to be the difference in terms of competition between another layer of difference, another layer of competitive advantage, perhaps, in fact. Now, I come back to the fact that you're CEO. Some of these projects, it's not rare that I would also speak to executives. Some of these projects, and what I encounter is that some of these projects kind of reach a dead end sometimes, simply because these companies are huge. They have a lot of stakeholders, a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy. How do you best drive this kind of project internally? If you are someone in middle management, let's say, or even in middle management, who sees the value but has to communicate that value to a senior executive.
Okay, I'll just come back to the beginning of your question. We have to understand that the world we live in right now, from a high level, is getting more and more regulated, and there's more and more, let's say, pressure to operate within certain limits. If you look at the sustainability development goals from the United Nations, I mean, it's not only around energy, but it's around sustainability. You have the CO2 emission reductions from the European Union. And these big groups, they're of course under pressure to comply with this, okay? But it's also a huge opportunity. And I think that's the message you have to convey. For them, it's a huge opportunity to innovate, to reduce costs, of course, related to energy, and to comply. And I think what we need to understand is, from a global perspective, how does the company want to reach these goals? And what can we provide them on a really short-term basis to enable to reach these goals? I mean, they're not short-term goals, but time is flying. And we now have the possibility to deliver something that will help them reach these goals, reduce their costs or whatever the target is, and also be measurable. Because we're in an industry where it's, I mean, we're not, I'm gonna use a stereotype, but we're not doing branding, okay? So we're not doing branding. What we're doing is we're improving operational processes. So we talk to process engineers, we talk to plant CEOs, and you can very easily measure the results and the impact of what we're doing. And I think that's the way to convince, I mean, to convince your boss or to convince the people, is build a business case. Build a business case, use a KPI, say, okay, I want to use AI on my data to reach this. Roll it out and measure it. Measure it. So I think that's really the way.
Okay. So really, what you're saying is that, well, they need to really communicate well the ROI, and that's where they need to collaborate. The process engineers rather need to collaborate with the solution provider on how to build business case, and therefore communicate a strong benefit for the executives.
There's a big paradox in what we're saying and what we're discussing here, because is we're working with an industry who has very long cycles, make investments over a very long period, but they are forced now to be able to generate ROI on a very short period. So of course, there's a bit of a paradox there, but I think that's where we're going, and that's where we're able to deliver. And I think that's a speech I will hold.
Okay, fair enough. You said something that is actually a very good point. You said a couple of good points, but something that stuck out as well is that yes, the new regulations are pressure, they apply pressure, but it's a matter of perspective. You want to look at it as a constraint rather than as a business opportunity. And you mentioned ROI is very important, and building a business case rather around it, right? How would you go about it with a potential, like, how would a company go rather about that to deliver or create a compelling business case with as tangible of an ROI as possible?
I think there are multiple things. You mentioned multiple stakeholders. So there are always multiple stakeholders in this design process. I think you need to really start with let's say a business pain. Okay, start with a business pain. That will differ on the company's activity and what its goal is. Some will want to reduce defects, some will want to improve yield. And once you define this business case, what you usually do is you come with experience. So some use cases, you present what you've already done,
Mm.
so that the company you're talking to understands that you know their business. I think that's very important because it will also help, let's say, the plant manager or the process engineer to enter the conversation with, let's say, a company that he can relate to. Speaks the same language, which is important. Of course, we will never know the processes as well as the customer, but it enables, let's say, the discussion. Okay. Secondly, and that's something I've said before, I think what's very important is to define a metric together, because we need to know what our goal is, what the project is. Okay. And it's measurable. So that's, I think this is very important. And the way you collaborate has to be, let's say, working together. I don't believe in, give me your data, let's disappear for 3 months, and I come back with something. I don't believe in that. I think that the success in all of the projects would have been successful, but the projects where we really been able to engage with our customers.
Okay. One last question I have for you. Is there a remedy for the old, if it ain't broken, don't fix it? In other words, if someone doesn't see that they have a problem, but instead have a lot of business opportunity to improve over what they already have, as functioning as it may be, is there a way to rather engage with them without, other than just letting them figure it out by themselves over time?
Usually that also can come from the competition. What we have is, even though it's not, let's say, out in the open, we have customers saying, "Hey, my competitor XY is doing this, or I see in the market that this and this is happening." The awareness can come from there. So it can come from there saying, "Hey, these guys are doing that. Maybe we should do the same." So that can happen also. It can also happen, as I said previously, by presenting use cases, saying, "Okay, we're in this industry. This is what we've done," and that can sometimes create awareness at certain customers. It can also, we also get is customers saying, "Okay, I have loads of data. I don't know what to do with it. I know there's potential, but I don't know what to do with it." So that sometimes can generate opportunity.
Right, yeah, you're right, and that does resonate with some of my experience. All right, a little bit of levity in the conversation. If I called you up, I haven't so far, but it's not necessarily, it's not impossible. If I called you on a Sunday at 2 p.m., what would I be interrupting you about?
I think I would probably be on Sunday 2 p.m. It's a time where I can relax. So either I'd be probably outside because I'm a guy. I love being outside. So I'll be hiking. I'll be doing some gardening. I'll be maybe driving around the countryside or some sport or something like that. That's what you've been talking.
So you might not even answer, actually.
No, I might not even answer. If it's you, I'll answer. I will answer.
Thank you. And what's the coolest thing you've recently found out about in your innovation in tech? It doesn't necessarily have to be in the heavy industry.
I think I saw something that kind of answers a fantasy of a lot of people. Is no, we're not going there. It's the ability to fly. Okay. And there's this company, I don't know where it's from, called Jetson. Okay. And they've created this, it's like a drone, but it can carry one guy. And you can fly for 30 minutes. And I think that would be totally amazing. I don't know how it costs. I don't know if you need a license. But it's so that's something I really like.
All right, so that might be your Sunday plan one day.
That could be my Sunday plan.
All right, well, thanks, Phil. Thanks for making the time. Hope to have you again in the future for another coffee. And thanks for sharing your 2 cents.
Thanks, man.